Hello, everybody, and
Are you ready
today
for a
we're
good time, Shiroi?
all right. Today we're
So
doing
bring it on.
something. Today we're doing something a bit different. Today we're doing the Cinderella animated 1995 animated film,
Adaptation.
quote unquote, of Cinderella. What is this? It's made by Goodtimes and Jetlag. Who are they? I'll explain in a moment. But for now, I'll just say this was a direct-to-video film, and was actually, even though it was written by their in-house writer George Bloom, it was actually animated in Japan.
George Bloom. Where have I
So
heard that name
technically,
before?
so technically, this is an anime. In fact, the directors themselves are Japanese.
Wouldn't surprise me.
The first series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was an anime.
And it's just like
Mhm.
how the Legend of Titanic movie collaboration with Italy is also an anime.
Okay, let me explain who these people are, guys. Basically, Good Times Entertainment was an entertainment company who started about distributing public domain movies.
They
Movies
were the
which,
video Brincado of their day.
yeah, well, yeah. So yeah, they started distributing low-budget traditional animated films with companies like just like as Jetlag Productions, who were the studio that made this film. Basically, they were that's for Jetlag Productions. They're a studio that originally animated the New Adventures of He-Man in 1990 and the Conan the Adventurer animated series in 1992, which I
Which
like that
makes me
series.
wonder, why the hell are they doing Drek like this?
Well,
the
Jova,
dolls.
exactly what we've said. Anyway, yeah. The Jetlag starting with 1995, I think. Yeah, no, 94 actually. This one in particular is 94 actually. Oh, okay, never mind. Apparently, this particular movie is 94, not 95, like the clip I got. Sides, whatever. The point is, this was
I think
started
it
back
was
in the mid
released somewhere
90s.
in 1994 and
The point
released
is,
in another
this
place
is
in
Good Times
1995.
and Jetlag, in their collaboration, released quite a lot of fairy tale adaptations as a form of musicals to try to cash in on. Let me explain something because trust me, this kind of needs to be said before we start. Back in the day, VHSs were a very hot thing for parents to buy for kids. You know, so they could buy.
Betamax.
Well, we're talking. Sorry, Joe, but by the mid '90s, the beta was kind of dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is a lot of times the kids will ask their parents to buy them Disney VHSs. Here's the problem. A lot of times parents were stupid and they just saw, okay, so he wants the Cinderella movie, and they would just find this like a VHS like this. Oh, it says Cinderella. This is probably the one. Basically, the main scam strategy of these two was to scam parents who didn't know the difference between a Disney animated film and and this thing.
Or just take advantage of parents who were too cheap to get the proper Disney films, because back then Disney films sometimes costed more than other VHSs. The point being is like, well, nowadays we have a name for this kind of genre, which is literally a mockbuster. I mean, granted, though, I guess to be a mockbuster, you have to actually be honest about it. Actually, no, you don't, because Asylum pumps out a lot of mockbusters in the same desperate ploy to try and cash off of big movies at the time.
All right, so now that the uninitiated have a basic idea of who these two companies are, let's start the proper movie. This is their first collaboration called Cinderella, so free. So start right before the Good Times logo. Basically, it's that
goody.
little anime. Basically, that little animation where you see two kids running a roller coaster
Oh,
in
I've got
space
quite a
for
few
some
choices.
reason.
With that same childhood laugh track that you've heard so many times.
I have a few
Yeah.
choice words to say about that little animation, but we'll get to that.
All right, everybody, start before that logo. 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah, okay, so it wasn't enough that they're ripping off Disney, they also ripped off Reading Rainbow's intro a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, so the movie's begun now, has it?
No. This is the
No.
production logo, believe it or not, Dwibs.
Believe it or not, Dwibs, this was a film series that tried to have an expanded universe of sorts.
There you
at
go.
first.
Now we're seeing actually sneak pics of the other stuff, like Pocahontas and Snow White.
And
and
Jungle
the
Book.
Jungle Book.
The good
Oh my
times
God.
Jetlag Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
And here's the thing you'll notice immediately: the character designs in these movies are terrible.
They look like the freaking Zelda CDI ones.
That's an insult to Zelda CDI.
Sorry, we're on a limited budget. Listen to this song. This song is amazing.
All right. Dwibs is gonna love it.
Hold on, listen. Hold on. Wait for it.
Okay.
Away. That line, that verse we just heard, they repeat that verse like 7 times over the course of the song. Just listen.
Is it meant to be the chorus?
Yeah, but they repeat it so often, though. There you go. Again.
They repeat it more than like pop music lyrics. Jesus.
You know,
Sorry, guys, we can't come up with more than one verse.
to all amateur songwriters out there is something like an ABC format where, yes, you can have the B part repeat, but you actually have to have content between those. Okay.
La 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 la.
Okay, a bit of backstory also. I am slightly familiar with Goodtimes and their Jetlag collaborations. Here's the thing, though. I was a candidate who was more fortunate to have parents who actually, made sure to check the covers properly. So I never actually owned any one of these. No.
Again?
I ended up going over to friends of mine who were less fortunate
Well, hey,
who had
the,
stuff
the
like
verses-
this.
The verses lasted longer than last time before they went to the chorus.
Also,
Oh,
So is this
beautiful
supposed to be
animation
Cinderella?
there. Behold as I spin.
And she got this, and she's giving
Cinderella.
tribute throughout the whole movie.
You spin me right.
They're still
Wow.
repeating this verse.
I mean,
They're
look.
still repeating it.
I mean, look. I
How
get it.
lazy can you be?
I mean, when this is like the only part of a song that's actually there, you've got issues. Or, okay.
So yeah, what a wonderful first impression from this studio, right, guys?
Is this Cinderella or Fifi and the Flower Tots?
Well,
Oh, goody, narrator.
Narration. Okay. Really?
Is this the writer of the original Cinderella book?
Hold on.
Oh god, the music.
Yeah, fun. Yeah, the music in this movie was done with a Casio keyboard.
I mean, seriously though, that music is clearly out of tune. And don't worry, guys, that's a thing in good time films.
No, guys, I've heard plenty of good soundtracks composed with just a keyboard.
Not true, it is, but remember,
this
we're
just goes
operating
to-
on a budget with untalented people here.
Okay,
A lot
okay.
of great video game
Okay,
soundtracks are done with a keyboard.
To be fair, Dwibs has a point. Budgets do not dictate how good a song or, composer should be. Because that stuff is out of tune. Like, if you can't do much, that's fine, but make sure your music's in tune, for Christ's sakes. Background music can play a factor in how annoyed audience can get,
Dream
now
on,
it's,
Cinderella, dream
now
your
it's
heart
freaking-
away.
Are we in Bambi now, where
Oh
we
boy.
skip between, where we go through all the seats? Well, what's the point of it being winter then?
You'll see, Dwibs.
it's like
You
in
see
Harry
the-
Potter, winter lasts.
I have.
like
Don't worry, Dwebs. Just say it with me. Dream on, Cinderella, dream.
You see, audience, this is why I drink coffee at 11.
I wonder who the villain is. Out of all the characters, it could just be about anyone.
Well, they
Thanks for
pull
being
the
deceiving,
scowl on their
Pedro.
faces.
Okay. Lady Tremaine from the Disney movie was clearly evil, just from looking at her design, but even her was more subtle than this.
Like, I mean, that is sort of the old magic with the Cinderella animated Disney features. Like, well, yes, the stepmother is obviously evil, and the stepsisters are obviously not as good lookers as Cinderella. The difference, though, is like, well, at least you could say the stepsisters were not, genetically mutated, because that's what they look like. Okay, maybe the tar one's
The
fine,
woman
but
on the left
She literally, her hair, that short one's hair is literally a fucking table. It can literally be used as a table.
yeah, I was about to say, what, is she like Hammerhead from Spider-Man?
Oh, hold on, Joe, I have to mention this. So basically, the father's going away on a trip, and he asks them what everybody wants. And they're, I want dresses, I want money. And hold on, Joe, I know what you're going to say. Let me. And Cinderella's like, I want nothing. I just want you to return safely. George, the guy who wrote this is George Bloom, the guy at Jetlag who wrote these.
Yeah.
George, that's Beauty and the Beast.
I was about to say.
For those who are not familiar with the original fairy tale, because that part was not in the original Disney film, they put it in the live action one, but that's the animated one is the one that some people are most familiar with. So I'll mention it. In the original Beauty and the Beast, that's actually a plot point in it, where, oh, just bring me a rose, or I don't need anything, or whatever. So, George, did you forget for a moment what fairy tale you were supposed to be adapting?
Not only that, but I mean, yes, in some
True to the
versions...
story.
So yeah, you know, we all know the Cinderella story. They forced her to do labor, they took away her clothes, all that shit. We all know how this goes.
That's right, her father was long enough away for them to get to do all this to her.
Yeah, that's the thing. At least in the Disney movie, they had the mercy of just having the father die. And here, the father is a fucking asshole who just allows the daughter to, you know, live in misery.
See again, here's the
What are
difference.
they here, everybody?
See again, here's the difference. It's like, well, normally Cinderella only gets this crap treatment when her father, like, you know, dies, essentially.
Yeah, and apparently Cinderella keeps her possessions behind the brick wall, and she has a snow globe.
Okay.
Cinderella,
I'm not sure
you...
whether I'm not sure whether the audio quality's gone bad after so many years, or if the keyboard really was out of tune.
It was.
How can you tell?
Dweebs, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Dweebs. This is from a DVD. You can't have a DVD footage be out of tune.
For those who want, all their movies can be bought on DVD via Amazon.
Not to mention Dweebs. You'd have to...
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Taking inspiration from Italy, her fairy godmother appears thanks to her crying tears into her snow globe. Apparently, Teo's country is not so creative after. Well, actually, remind me again, Jova. When did The Legend of Titanic come out?
1999.
1999.
So basically, Italy ripped us off. Out of all the American films to rip off, he ripped off this one.
And allow me to state another. To
rip off this too.
And allow me to state another.
Can I make a comment? The pacing is terrible.
It is.
For the minutes in, and already we're at the fairy godmother part. I don't really like. I know this is a very short
movie
film.
is like.
I was literally about to say that, but yeah.
But still.
Not just that. Did you notice how the fairy godmother is kind of a douche in this version? She literally says, "Oh, I can do everything," and then she drops all the pens. Oh no, but I just tied those. That's okay. I can just reverse time. And I also love, in the fairy godmother is kind of a evil in this version, because she literally says, "Oh, don't worry, your stepmother will pay for her misdeeds."
This is what I thought the Helena Bonham Carter version of the fairy godmother would be like.
I know we couldn't actually animate you disappearing. We just had to animate you sparkling the globe.
We're kind of on a tight budget here, so...
I'm sorry. There's tight budgets and then there's just money embezzlement.
Remember, Joe, we're trying to this is a get-rich-quick scheme, remember?
Again, good time. You're working with Jetlag, the people who at the time had a solid reputation they don't now thanks to these movies.
Jetlag still going, or are they...
No, they've went... Goodtimes as well also went bankrupt.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
What are you talking about?
Also, we're playing the fancy game of croquet.
Yeah, croquet.
Croquet.
No.
Okay, remind me again.
Alice in Wonderland reference, I guess.
But this is not...
Okay. To be fair, croquet is a game in real life too, and oh, she's a klutz.
I know, but...
That was a delayed reaction.
This woman looks like a stop-motion character from a Tim Burton film.
She reminds me of a giant...
Those are less creepy.
She reminds me of a giant's mother from that Jack and the Beanstalk movie cartoon. Oh, yeah, that cartoon.
So there you go. The fairy godmother is indeed using her powers to make the stepmother pay.
So
The spoon shouldn't get stuck to your nose like
So I'll just ask the big question here. What's essentially going to be the conflict if the fairy godmother is there to stop the evil stepmother from doing bad things to Cinderella?
It's going to be about the godmother trolling everyone who upset Cinderella.
Sadly, Shiroi, that would make for a much better movie. But no.
If I know Goodtimes well, Shiroi from the movies I've seen of them, no. Like, let me put it like this, Shiroi. In every Goodtimes film I've seen, every time there's actually a funny line, or a funny joke, or a possible good plot point, it gets wasted. I'm guessing this film is no exception, Pedro.
No, George Bloom, and I've seen quite a few of these movies. George Bloom cannot write for shit. Now, like Dwebs just said, the pacing is terrible. The characters are archetypes. Look, cartoony sound effects. It's
You
funny.
think this film is bad though?
The most
Wait.
I've seen of these movies are
Oh, that's one.
this one I'm not familiar with.
Watching my enemies suffer sustains me.
But believe it or not, okay. And how long are we into this movie? We're only 11 minutes and a half.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's a prince in this movie, so.
Wait,
And I'm
there
done
is.
with my coffee.
And
Whoa.
guess what? And guess what? The prince actually gets a couple lines in this version, so that's something, I guess. And did the prince even have a line in the Disney film?
I think he had one or two. Get it? Because she's fat.
She's fat, and
Oh, goody this.
so yeah,
What
they're
the-
trying to hook the prince. So they're trying to get the prince laid, but the prince is not having any of this because none of the women look.
Look at that.
Pretty.
She totally looks like she's wearing a dress from this time period in France.
Also, she looks like she's like 50 years older than him.
Yeah, a couple of.
Are you sure this? Are you sure this? I thought this was set in like the 1800s, not 1991.
I know, right? That's another thing with Good Time films, Dwoobs. They don't do their research.
So yeah, the prince is angry at his parent, and by the way, the mother still exists in this version, so that's something. The prince is angry at their parents for trying to get him laid because he only wants to marry the woman he loves.
Well, at least that's more character.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I'll give him that. That's more character than he had in the original Disney film. Okay. Again, like I said,
Allow me to say something about that, Jova. Though, however, the Cinderella Disney movie has the excuse it was made in the 1950s. It was made in a much simpler time.
not to
This
mention,
movie came out in 1994, so it doesn't have that excuse.
not to mention the fact that Cinderella 3 later anyway gives the Disney prince all the more character. Like seriously, Cinderella 3 is one of those cases where I legit like the sequel better than the original because that sequel gives all the characters way more character than they did in the original, in a good way.
So back in the 1800s, this is what postmen dressed like?
I guess.
Apparently.
Oh god, I do not want to imagine them naked.
I love how the animation of her watching the quiz was her just moving her arms in a loop.
Was Batman a thing? Let alone a thing that ladies did in that time
What?
period?
George, I know that
She's
George.
clumsy.
Okay, George. Okay, George. I know that the internet wasn't a thing back then,
Oh,
but still, there's libraries exist. You can go to one, do some research.
hey, speaking of other stuff, here's another thing that's consistent with Good Time films. Try and find a quiet moment. You'll likely fail because it's just constant
To be
noise
fair,
upon
to be
There are
noise.
times to have a quiet moment.
To be fair, it's not as bad as the Felix the Cat film.
Or a Magic Voyage.
I still haven't seen those.
Oh,
They're-
sure, you're in for a treat with both cases. A Magic Voyage is the worst. Okay, a Magic Voyage is one of those few things that is a bigger spit in the face in history than a lot of films.
Yeah.
And then Felix the Cat is...
Annoyance the movie.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, this is exactly what we expect. The prince is inviting every single woman to go to the ball, and they don't allow Cinderella to go because they're evil.
One thing I've
Grr.
noticed, they've kind of okay, one thing that's
I will not
pretty
cry.
common-
Do you think you are Princess Elise?
One
Anyway,
thing
Shuri?
that's pretty common in anime is that soft-spoken and innocent characters will have huge eyes, and then anyone who's more,
Yeah, we
stern,
know.
I guess, has really
My
like,
ears.
you know,
Ow, it's
And
music.
the stepsisters here have really sharp eyes, whereas Cinderella does have the big eyes.
Well, yeah, this is animated by Japanese people, remember?
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I
forget.
explained that
Yeah,
earlier.
I forgot. Sorry.
Okay, so...
To be fair,
it's
Shuri,
interesting you
this
say
is
that,
sort of this is
sorry.
kind of 90s anime, and 90s anime, 90s anime, for instance, is more hand drawn, so there's definitely some differences. Oh, by the way, her Hey, oh god, a song.
It's interesting. One thing that I also is quite of a step down from the Disney film. Okay, even though the 1950s Disney
We get it,
Cinderella,
Aladdin! You're referencing all the popular Disney stuff. Will you actually
Yeah.
focus on being Cinderella?
They've been, yeah, they've done more. They've been parodying more so other Disney films than Cinderella.
That's
it's kind of
another.
like how,
That's
it's kind of
actually
like how
another.
Dragon Ball Evolution draws from everything except Dragon Ball.
Have I mentioned that that's another trend with the Good Time films that I've actually seen too?
Anyway, here's another problem. Cinderella is blandish, and don't get me wrong. Yes, the 1950s Disney Cinderella was also a bland character. However, she's even more bland in this version because, even though she wasn't the most, even though she wasn't
I
nearly
think
as
I
good as
can
the 2015 live action one, the original animated Cinderella at the very least had a sarcastic quip here and there. She fought back a bit.
Not to
This
mention
one,
also
all she does is cry and look sad and be complacent.
Also,
Not-
she was charming enough that you'd feel sorry for her when all this bad stuff was happening to her. But here, it's like
She's laughed at the pain of others too. I mean, and don't get me wrong, they had it coming, but dude, she acts a bit
Yeah,
disrespectful.
the
in a sense.
Cinderella in this movie is about as interesting as Styrofoam.
However, here's another thing though. For as bland as the 50s Cinderella was, she at least had a good cast backing her up. Oh, by the way, they
Yeah.
turned her. Okay, here's one of the few actual good scenes. They turned her dress to ashes and cinders.
Get it? The irony. Cinders. Ha ha ha.
from the first,
Ah,
from the original movie.
However, in
Oh, and
the-
by the way, we kind of talked over it, but there's also a particular detail in this version where Cinderella's not actually her real name. It was the stepsisters and stepmother that gave her that name. Apparently, she has another name, but the movie never says what her real name is. And yet, despite this being a mean nickname, everybody treats her as Cinderella. The fairy godmother, the father, the prince. So
Okay.
even though this is not her name, everybody treats her by that name.
Now, okay, to give this movie a point, Cinderella was actually just a mean nickname of her given to her in the original tale. However, that point is taken away considering how even the original tale knew that only the people mean to her would call her that. I mean, yeah, she herself did actually use it as her disguise name when she came in disguise, but she only used that name because, well, first thing that came to mind. And so it made sense when other people would call her that. Here, though, well, I guess I'll wait and see how it is. And get it! A bean! A magic bean.
George.
Oh, right,
Also,
yeah.
why does she have diamonds as earrings? Wouldn't that be
because
painful? Wouldn't that be
why
painful?
not?
Wouldn't it be painful to carry diamonds in your ears?
I don't know,
Diamond
but this
earrings
music
are
is
a
painful
thing.
to listen to.
If it's not
But that big though?
if the music wasn't out of tune originally, then whoever did the DVD conversion to this did a pretty shit job.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, sure. I know that diamond earrings are a thing, but that big?
Hmm.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, oh, fairy godmother, why didn't you just instantly do a magic thing
it's-
that could have given me a magical dress right there and then? Or, you
That's
know...
such a fairy godmother. You're kind of a shitty fairy godmother. You know that?
Oh, this bit.
No, you don't understand.
Oh, so she can only do it every once in a while. What the hell? Seriously, what the hell? Well, gee, I wonder how a magical fairy godmother who has clearly done magical stuff could possibly help me go to the ball. I am mystified. Like, you know, at least this was actually the first time she met her godmother in most of the versions, so it made sense. Here, though, she's seen her do all this stuff, but I guess she technically hasn't seen her transform stuff, so whatever. Yes, we'll lick them and...
Because
Don't...
go ahead, Jovis.
You see, we will lick the lizards, then eat the shrooms, and then it'll seem like you're actually at the ball, dearie.
Again, ripping off the Disney movie. We're gonna use animals to turn them into stuff. Go
To
ahead,
be
Jovis.
fair, her using animals and random stuff, that's always been a thing in every story, so I wouldn't call that ripping off the Disney flick, to be fair.
Go ahead, Deuce. You were saying something?
No, I was just gonna say, what would you? I know you need to make the horses, but why lizards?
Oh, right. Wait, what? Are the pigeons gonna turn into the animals by eating from the pumpkin? Because that's where lizards hang out, of course. What even is this movie? Also, those look like dinosaurs more than... Oh,
Not just
whatever.
that. What the fuck is this music?
Okay, out of tune or not, this music is just bad.
This is the Make the Carriage theme.
Because who needs a bippity boppity boo when you've got this tune to listen to?
It's gonna blow. Oh, okay.
The fun's just begun. It hasn't even started yet.
If you're having fun, if you're having fun with a good time film that's not Little Red Riding Hood, stop it. You're not supposed to.
Yes, folks, Good Times actually have a decent film under their belts.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The Little Red Riding Hood is actually a simple story that actually fits a runtime like this.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I guess you could, in theory, make Cinderella fit to this plot line.
Wait,
You know,
so if the lizards turn into humans, so
yeah. So
where are the horses?
I don't know. Well, actually, no, never mind. They're gonna bring that up in a moment. Wow, that's so lazy.
Downloading Cinderella's costume.
Wow. But here's a little bit of trivia for you guys. You know that bit in the Disney movie where Cinderella's dress magically turns into that beautiful dress? That was actually Walt Disney's personal favorite piece of animation that he supervised.
Mm-hmm. He put a lot of work into it.
From that to this.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
again, you know, I know they've got the budget of someone of how much it costs to remodel a bathroom, but still.
For reasons that have never been adequately explained in any versions.
Because
even the 2015 one didn't really explain it that.
It's because magic apparently runs out at midnight. Because
I mean, I get that you need to have a limitation, otherwise, you know, she would just marry the prince right there and then. But still,
midnight?
But still, you could have some kind of.
There you go, guys. Nobody's perfect. That's the story's excuse.
I don't mind the limitation. It's just that I kind of wish they. Yeah, I don't mind the limit. Sorry.
I'm sorry, but this is too funny.
I have the power. No, seriously, that's literally the He-Man transformation animation, just over the mice they were using there.
A bunch of birds kidnap mice to turn them into horses and be slaves, pretty much.
George, what the fuck were you smoking?
How will I get the horses? I know. I have a bunch of pigeons kidnap mice.
God, the way she was moving her arm.
George, have you been doing drugs again?
So, Shiroi, what do you think so far?
I think this is just as bad as the rest of their movies.
Have you seen
you've had experience with Good Times?
She saw Lutoon's reviews of them.
Yeah.
Lutoons. It's a guy who does animated reviews.
Oh, that reminds me. Good Times also, I think, came back briefly as Golden Times.
Check out also Fellas. Fellas literally has basically reviewed every Disney ripoff 90s movie under the sun by this point. He reviewed so many of these.
I mean, heck. He even actually took something from Good Times and made it good. That being the old man from Good Times, Beauty and the Beast. And don't worry, Shiroi, Beauty and the Beast from Good Times is, it's...
Where did the father go?
What do you mean? Oh, right, he went on a trip that's apparently taking him this
hold on to this. That's such a terrible joke because it doesn't work. The woman literally just said, we brought the finest orchestra from Vienna. Yeah, the finest orchestra that is just a guy doing the exact same animation repeated with all the sound of a wonderful Casio keyboard.
So I guess truly Italy's greatest export. Okay,
little tip for you guys. If you don't have the money for an orchestra, don't point out that your music is beautifully orchestrated.
Also, please do not show that woman's pantaloons.
Like I said before, we've had soundtracks from like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and Final Fantasy, etc., done with a keyboard.
Wow, that's literally a Flintstone sound effect.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that, considering how
Well, there's
Ripper.
stock sound effects.
It's funny because Ripperoo's laugh is literally the hyena from Lady and the Tramp's laugh.
Well, in the original versions.
Original versions? What do you mean?
In the Insane trilogy,
Oh, well,
they give him a new.
True.
So yeah, the prince is feeling sad because he doesn't love any of the girls that came to the ball.
Oh, is there actually not a well-written, well-animated lady that I may actually fall in love
No,
with
there
that will
isn't.
conveniently
No.
bag right down
No.
the steps that is sparkling and glow? Like, seriously, where is he even going?
Also, that music is awful.
Yeah, again, I'm pretty convinced that whoever did the conversion from VHS to DVD for this did a horrible job.
Honestly, Dwibs, I wouldn't be surprised if it sounded like this in the original too.
No, I don't know how much you know about the other movies, but
This was a direct to. All of these movies were direct to VHS, for the record.
Yeah.
They weren't even shot on TV. They were
Here-
just direct to VHS.
Here's the thing, Dwibs. You remember Leo the Lion, which is a terrible ripoff in other cases, has bland music? Well, we're lucky it has just bland music. See, here's the thing, Dwibs. Back in the 90s, whenever a film got ripped off, not only was the animation lackluster, the music could be lackluster. Like, I mean, let's be quite honest.
For the record, not that the CGI ripoffs like What's Up are any better than this.
The only
so.
difference is, like, well, those just use public domain music, so they rarely ever compose their own music. And even still, their music is all digital. This was back in the day when music...
oh god, now we're watching a whole bunch of people.
That's
spinning.
right. All they do. Sorry, Shira, we cannot animate dancing, so let's just have them spin around.
Oh, even
There you
better.
go.
Oh, even better,
You might as
conveniently.
well stick them on the Disney teacup ride.
And conveniently, let's give the ladies, except for a few, similar
That
hairdos.
face. What was up with that
Sorry,
guy's
the speed
face?
racer gasping is far more charming.
Oh.
I love that. By the way, we talked over it, but when the prince saw Cinderella for the first time, he literally said, "You are the most beautiful lady damsel I have ever seen."
I guess, to be fair,
Really?
her competition
I'm
is
guessing
not...
you don't get out much, dude.
Well, I guess to be...
Dude, Cinderella isn't even beautiful in this version.
be
She's
fair-
just your average chick that you meet at the mall.
To be fair, guys, look at the competition and how animated they are.
I guess, but
I have a
still.
slightly
I mean,
better
let's be
budget.
quite honest. I mean, Cinderella is technically the best animated female in this movie. That's
Also, what were
not...
they
s-
just whispering about? Because there's something I want to bring up.
All right, keyboard orchestra, don't fail me now.
Basically, sure, they're whispering about, oh my god, will he be the one she finally beds and, you know, brings us in there and all that jazz.
Hang on. That music just then, that's the start of this track was literally, I'm not even joking, it's the exact same beginning of that I Just Can't Get Enough song.
Good ear there, Dwibs. Did I mention that Goodtimes like to rip
Seriously.
off those melodies?
They didn't even change like a bit of, they didn't even change a note, it's exactly the same.
So wait a minute, did they not recognize that that's Cinderella because she hasn't changed much?
Listen.
Well, to be fair, this was also a problem in the Disney film.
Yeah, but it's even worse here.
Also, another reason I have a good idea that this is how the music was, it's like, well, sometimes it sounds in tune, but then it turns off tune mid-score. So, like, I'm really convinced that that's how it was in the original.
This is the remember. There's no this. So this is love. There's no well animated sequence. It's just them spinning around for like an hour. I'm not even kidding. They literally put out how they've been doing nothing but spinning in the same place for an hour.
You know, give the Thief and the Copper credit. At least the scene actually shifted from side to side. Yeah, it was constant spinning, but at least they actually moved around the area.
Maybe I should have done something else other than spinning.
No one ever spins like you do! I know I can't tell you my name,
Why can't you tell him his name exactly?
See, now, in the Disney or other
Also,
films...
those stairs are very underwhelming.
Now, in... oh my god. And yeah, she already turns back here? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no way he should not recognize her. Oh wait, that's right. He somehow didn't catch up to her.
Not just that, but you'd think that guard who saw her escape would know who she is when the prince says he's looking for her.
But Pedro, she's a completely different looking woman. And now let's run into the hedge mage. What I'd give for this to be all shining.
Oh, I love how the prince has even less character than the 1950s Cinderella.
Give him
And he
some
was just
credit
there
to
to be a pretty boy. He didn't have
give him
character.
some credit to it. He still has more character than the Disney 50s prince.
Yeah.
No. I said no. I said he has less character than the 50s one.
disagree. I
No.
disagree.
Okay.
No, Jova. He meant this prince has less character than 50s Cinderella. That's what he means.
No, I mean.
No, he just said this one has more personality than the 50s one.
He
Yeah.
does.
That's what you
news
just
to
said.
me.
When was the
gonna be
last
quite
time you
honest.
saw the 1950s animated Cinderella by Disney?
It was a while ago, and I remember more about him then than I do here, and I'm watching
Really?
this currently.
Well, to be fair, wait. Okay, so what do you actually remember about
that
him?
prince only had like one line.
Again, like I just said, he was just there to be a pretty boy. He had no character.
Heck, his
I mean, don't get
father
me
had
wrong.
more to say.
Don't get me wrong. The prince in this movie is not interesting by any stretch of the imagination, but at the very least, he doesn't have one character trait. He refuses to marry. He refuses an arranged marriage. That's more than what the Disney film gave us.
Now,
Got it.
maybe if you're comparing this to, say, The Prince and Cinderella Free, I'd agree, but 50s version, no. Even his father
I
has more
haven't,
character
I
than
haven't
him.
seen Cinderella 3.
Oh, that's a
It's
pretty
good.
good one.
Well,
Yeah.
for two reasons. One, I didn't know there was a Cinderella 3 until a couple of years ago.
That's fair
And
enough.
two, I still get chills thinking about Cinderella 2. Going to a third one's a bit
Okay,
Oh, it's very
daunting.
different.
let me
Trust
show
me.
you, Dwayne. Cinderella Free is
Hold
awesome.
on, guys. Here's what it does. The prince gets his own song in this version.
That's right, he waited in
Hold on,
the...
listen to these lyrics.
Wow.
Also, this piano.
They're trying to replicate a harpsichord. Problem is, it's not an actual... Or maybe it is an actual harpsichord, but one that's not tuned properly. They must have gotten it really cheap without repairing it.
At this point, I think it'd even be better if they used 8-bit music.
I know, right? Also,
Okay,
the
now it's gone
flipper
from
is
being-
glistening.
Now it's gone from being blander than the 50s one to being flat out in terms of just quality worse than the 50s one.
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
this
it's amazing.
And he
well, the song's
hallucinates.
crap.
Oh,
Yeah, and Cinderella gets to sing with him.
his hallucination is singing with him.
There you go. Here's another aspect of the
I walked
character.
with you once upon a dream.
There you go. There's another character trait that the 50s prince didn't have. He's mentally insane because he's hallucinating a woman.
From her
Wow.
shoe, no less. Her glass shoe.
So he has
Hey,
a foot
again,
fetish.
again,
Fantastic.
And
the guy
now
already
we're
has.
flying. What?
Debs, he already has 2 more character traits than the 50s prince. That's the thing right there.
Sure.
And
Sure.
apparently he can fly.
You can fly, you can fly, you can fly, because we're doing Peter Pan now.
We're doing everything.
Uh,
But anyway,
Isn't
what I
this
was gonna say-
so romantic, Shuri?
Yeah, whatever.
We're doing more spinning and pivoting.
Go ahead, Shuri. What is it?
In one of her earlier singles, for some reason, Utada Hikaru decided during one of the instrumental breaks, she wanted a specific sound in which she was able to create with, I'm not sure if you have these in America, but she was able to create it with a broken Fisher-Price piano.
We
And
have
it
those.
sounds far better than this.
I don't know where love has been. It's certainly not in this movie.
hello,
Also,
I'm looking for love. Can you please tell me where it is? Not in this
And-
movie.
And for the record, audience, we're putting Job is putting movie in huge quotation. What's not quotations in you like
like, seriously. I mean, go with the way. Oh, apparently Cinderella's been singing this all along, actually.
But don't you see, Jova? They sing the exact same song at the same time. That means they're soulmates.
Maybe it
Is
would have been
this-
nice to actually show her start
that song
singing.
supposed to be this movie's equivalent of Somewhere Out There?
Yes.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, so back to my boring life.
That's another thing. They don't even give her a bed in this version. She has to sleep on the floor.
Damn.
Such is life. And that's the end of the
and that,
movie.
the keyboard is telling me to be sad, I think, but it's hard to tell with the shitty quality.
Like, okay, look. I know that sometimes audio can get messed up in conversion, but even still, if it were an actual good music, I'd at least be able to hear good music through it.
Well, if the music's fucked up, then it's fucked up music, therefore it's bad.
Okay, so
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today for... Wait, what are we gathered here for?
Yeah, let me
we're going
guess.
to announce. We're going to start the climax. We're going to try that glass shoe that she left behind on every maiden in the kingdom. Because as we all know, there's no such thing as a woman with the same size shoe.
You know what I love? Cinderella 3 actually addresses that plot hole in a class way. Again, that's another reason I love Cinderella 3. It's just what a sequel should be. Yeah, it pokes fun at the original tale in a proper way.
Are there any Cinderella 2 references?
Yes.
There are actually the one somewhat decent thing in the second movie is actually kept, but everything else is thrown away.
Well, the Anastasia, not the Anastasia.
Yes.
Yeah, the Anastasia subplot. Yes.
That is one thing I'll give credit for. Anastasia does get proper character development. Yes, they gave one of the most stereotypical villains of Disney an actual character arc. Oh my! What kind of woman is that? Like,
That
is she a werewolf?
Jova, are you saying that Jova, are you trying to imply that muscular women are unattractive? You pig.
No, he was more so talking about the fucking claws for toenails.
She had claws. Like, look, I have nothing against muscular women, but claws though, that looks werewolfish. The prince is coming.
If I wanted to see muscular women, or these good-looking ones, I'd watch WWE. These ones are just horribly deformed.
Oh, stop complaining, Dwebs,
Oh.
and watch the shitty movie.
But, fine.
What did we tell you?
So basically, in this version, the stepmother made them heat their feet up, I guess, to try and make it fit better. I mean, I guess it's
That's another thing.
Okay.
Lady Tremaine is well, actually, sorry, she doesn't have a name in this version. The stepmother is a terrible villain in this one. Like, she's just she gets easily. Lady Tremaine, for as little as she did, she managed to completely be intimidating in every little thing she did.
And Cinderella 3 took it to its natural escalation. Hey, Fairy Godmother, you know how you were kind of trolling her earlier in the film? Where the hell are you now?
I mean, in the very first shot of Lady Tremaine in the 1950s Disney movie is her stroking a cat like she's a fucking Bond villain or something.
A cat literally named Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer is one of the best cats.
Yeah.
Dwebs. It's Cinderella. Should we really bother trying to be subtle?
For the cat.
So,
might as well just flat out call the cat the devil.
So, in the Oh, there you are!
Where the fuck have you been?
In the shadows.
Now, in the Disney version, they actually managed to get in a climax where the stepmother locked Cinderella up in an attic, so the mice had to, help get her by
There was no mice in this movie.
I thought you said the godmother locked her up.
Well, actually, there were, but they didn't talk.
That's another
That'd be
problem
quite
with
a
this
twist.
movie. It's like, okay, one of the reasons that Cinderella is actually liked in the original Disney movie is because she actually has a cast to back her up. Like, the talking mice and talking animals, the dog and farm animals and whatnot.
Not just that, but,
actually did help. And I genuinely like them because they're actually funny.
Yeah, not just that, but again, the stepmother doesn't lock Cinderella up in this version. She just told her to stay up there and don't do anything. And guess what?
Cinderella just running down the stairs.
Her own
Not just
crushing
that-
lack of self-confidence, Dwibs.
That plot hole aside, Dwebs, you're not even gonna believe how the prince finds out Cinderella's here.
He just says.
You'll see. Just watch.
He just randomly stumbles across Cinderella.
Oh!
Just watch. You wish, Dwebs. You wish.
Oh, he finds her by the singing.
That's
There we
Little
go.
Mermaid!
Not just that, Jova, but he never heard her sing. How does he recognize her singing
But
voice?
Pedro, he
Because
heard...
it's sweet. Therefore
Remember,
it must be her
remember,
singing.
Pedro, he heard her sing in his hallucinations.
You know, if they wanted to go the whole use the noise to get the prince's attention, why don't you just shout, "I'm Cinderella, I'm stuck up here"?
Not to
Oh, so
mention
you're gonna say I'm Cinderella and I'm fine.
Not to mention the fact that he already knew that she had 3 daughters. Like, he himself literally says, I thought you had 3 daughters. And she even admits she does, but she says, oh, she's only my stepdaughter. So whether or not he heard Cinderella talk, he would have had to have seen her eventually.
Not just that, the prince would say, actually, no, when I said all maidens, I meant all maidens. Bring in your
Yeah.
stepdaughter, please.
Exactly. So, her
And
singing...
look at that. He immediately recognizes her. So there you go, Shiro. That's that.
She changed even less than.
And, her dress is back now.
No, remember, Jova.
Oh, wait,
this
no, it's
guy-
just the drugs.
Or is he hallucinating?
Remember, Jova. The prince is mentally insane in this version because he keeps hallucinating.
Does the prince smoke marijuana or something before he leaves?
We didn't see any of that,
Surprise me.
so I'm left to
I don't
assume
know,
he's
his
just
pupils
insane.
kind of shrank a little bit, I think.
Because as we all know, there's no such thing as a woman with the same shoe size as another woman.
I guess
no, totally
I
not.
guess to give him credit, he did recognize her, so that probably helps. You're still here, Fairy
Oh,
Godmother.
No, we're never.
I think here's the thing, Jova. Despite recognizing her voice, recognizing her looks, and that particular shoe fitting,
Yeah?
he's still gonna have her try the other shoe.
Why? The plot is finished.
Why,
She
does
fit
the-
the shoe.
Unless Cinderella has a deformed foot, this won't make any sense.
Also, in most versions, one of the glass slippers is smashed anyway, but what's even the point?
Also, I'd like to point out that like one foot is always very slightly bigger than the other.
Well, okay.
Very, very slightly.
That's not always the case,
Not
but
by
it
that
can
much,
be the
though,
case.
surely.
It's actually quite common.
Yeah.
And there you go, guys. A happy ending.
Whoa.
I did something.
Lady, stepmother, I mean, you are a terrible villain.
Dirty face. I mean, she's not the best animated, but better than yours.
Thank you for calling me for the mean nickname that my stepsisters and stepmother gave me.
Well, you never told me your real name.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't think that's the thing. You know, my father told me that I have a real name, but he's never told me.
In most versions, her
People died
real
of death.
in most versions her real name is Ella.
All right, hold on. And the father comes to the wedding.
I guess
Hold
as
on. He's not shown up yet. He's gonna show up now, I think. Yeah, there you go. The father comes to the wedding. And he's still together with the stepmother. So apparently Cinderella didn't bother telling him about how mistreated she was. And guess what?
Yeah,
She also
and the
She also-
stepsisters
hold on,
get
Joe,
played.
there you go, Dwebs. In this version, the Cinderella uses her princess statue to get the stepsisters married to dukes.
Because she's so gosh dang good.
So in this movie, they condone abusive relationships.
Don't you see,
Not
just-
Shiroi? Cinderella is so pure.
I can imagine how that conversation went down between Cinderella and her father. Really, father? You left me behind, and I spent the worst years of my life with your stupid, evil, abusive wife and her stepdaughter.
Fuck you. Bring out the
Also,
final
that's
shot.
a
Now,
kiss
now, of
from,
all times, you come back
from
for my
Little Mermaid at
wedding,
the end.
and you honestly
Oh, well.
expect me to forgive you for all those years of neglect?
Yes. Well, I got you a pony.
Actually, Shiroi, it's actually more similar to.
Okay.
And of course, they're having the book closing to rip off Disney.
Okay,
But
okay,
no,
okay.
but it's okay, guys, because we get to hear this song again.
Okay, can I just point out a plot hole here?
Worst father I've ever seen in all of fiction.
You know what's sad when you think about it? You know what's sad when you think about it? The stepmother did not have to stop Cinderella because the stepmother got what she wanted. Riches, fame, gets to have royal treatment. Like, seriously, when you think about it, if she had just let Cinderella do her thing, well, bam, she got what she wanted, so...
Everybody lives happily ever after, even the stepmother.
Oh, fuck this, I'm not listening to that song anymore. I've closed the video.
Look
But
at all
let's
those...
dream on, Cinderella, dream
I
your
put
heart
Dream on my
away.
And your ears?
Those two.
Look at that. Look how many character designers there are.
I know, right?
There's to give you an idea, Dwebs, there's 3 screens of character designers credited.
Each
Like
having
there's like
6 or
30
7.
there's like 30 of them in here. How many character designers did you need? There's not that many characters in this
Oh
movie.
wow, they even had assistant designers. They had color key artists. Like, okay, how could so many people
So,
come together to
yeah.
work on this and yet have it be so crap?
No, not just that. Okay, so let me get this straight. You have a low budget and you managed to somehow get like this many people into it somehow?
Wow, they had a lot of storyboard artists too. You
Well,
know,
I'm starting to think each of them got only 10 quid for this movie.
£10.
Okay, so that was
Wait,
was
they got
Dream
Scott McNeil
on,
for this
Cinderella, Dream your heart.
wait, they got Scott McNeil for this movie?
Who is he?
Who did he voice?
If I recall correctly, he is. Oh wait, I may be mistaken with someone. Let's see, McNeil.
And by the way, she's still repeating that goddamn verse.
Yeah, Scott
But
McNeil.
I don't care. The song's not playing for me.
Scott McNeil, he's an Australian-born Canadian actor and voice actor. He's done voices for stuff like The Wacky World of Tex Avery, Reboot, Beast Wars, Transformers, Stormhawks, Dragon Ball Z, Rama 1/2, Inuyasha, X-Men Evolution. Oh yeah, and Mega Man, League of Super Evil.
so basically, this was him starting out, and well, you had to pay the bills somehow. Fortunately, now you actually get dignified work.
I mean,
This is how he starts his career.
well, let's see. His first one was actually G.I. Joe, Sergeant Savage and his Screaming Eagles.
By the way, I love what it says in the credits. Adapted from the classic tale of Cinderella by George Bloom. A movie titled Cinderella. It was adapted from the classic tale of Cinderella. I would have never guessed. Thanks, George.
By the way, you know who Scott McNeil was? He's Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z.
Well, at least now, whatever. The point is, that was Dream on Cinderella by Goodtimes and Jetlag.
God.
Shiroi, why don't you start?
Well, that was a mess.
That's putting it
There was
lightly.
a bit more. I mean, there was some more personality in there than the original, but it's still like it's a worse movie still. I mean, like the '50s one was a product of his time, sure, but a lot of the things like how the abuse was portrayed imagery-wise, it was far more effective in the '50s movie than it was here. This is just.
And like you said, Shiroi, this one condones it anyway.
Yeah, this one just ignores the fact that it ever happened.
It's easily
Terrible
forgiving of it.
You get a happy ending. You get a happy
Get a
ending.
happy-
Everybody gets a happy ending, no matter what you did.
Yeah,
That's a
Yeah,
good moral to
yeah,
tell
you're-
kids.
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
consequences.
Don't worry, kid. Don't worry, kids. If you find to go on holiday, I guess for like 5 years, he'll come back eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But keep going.
No, that's really it. I mean, the music pretty much. I think the music was recorded that way on purpose, just to portray like how bad this movie actually
I
is.
have to admit, I have a soft spot, a hilarious soft spot for the main theme because it's so ridiculous.
Dream
I'm
on
talking
Cinderella.
Cinderella,
Oh,
dream your heart away.
All right.
All right.
Dream on Cinderella. But yeah, that's it. This was awful.
Okay.
Are you surprised that this company's state was bankruptcy?
No.
Okay, so here's the basic thing. I'll start with something a bit more positive. Like we said, the prince in this version actually has a personality. True, he's mentally insane, hallucinating. But hey, at the very least, he also refuses an arranged marriage. That's more than what the Walt Disney movie gave us, at least.
True.
However, watch the live-action remake of Disney for a better version. Anyway, again, another positive thing that I like to mention, like Code Lock Views said in his review, it's they do have. We talked over it, so I didn't have the time to point it out when it happened in the movie. But basically, after the song with the stepsisters, and she asks the stepmother if she can come, one of the sisters literally says, "Well, she did help us make our dresses." So apparently, the fat one has somewhat of a soul.
So she's the Anastasia, the one.
So she's at the very that's at the very least one more trait than she had in the original film. Because remember, Jova, that Anastasia thing, that was the sequel stuff. We're only talking about the original.
Okay, yeah.
It's
weird. A film that technically has more character to it than the original Disney film, yet is worse than the Disney film overall.
It's because those minor little things cannot stand the weight of the everything awful that's around it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the music is absolutely atrocious, as Dweb so very well pointed out over the course of this.
Again, I'm not sure if it was like that originally or the conversion to DVD was so crap.
Well, regardless of whether or not it was the truth of that bad conversion or not, the melodies here, let's just say, are not very good. Let's go with that. So yeah, aside from those positives, everything else is terrible. The character, like Cinderella, is bland, and by that she's even blander than she should be. The characters make stupid decisions. The villain is completely ineffectual. She barely does anything to prevent Cinderella from getting her happy ending.
Villains are supposed to be some of the easiest characters to write.
Yeah. Okay, so that was it. Go ahead, Wibs.
It sucks.
Big fucking surprise.
Anything else you'd like to recall from this Good Times picture, Dwibs?
Well, I still don't think much of this version is Fritz. Well, it's sad when the most entertaining thing in this movie is seeing the prince tripping out. Cinderella. It must be a very specific illness he has. He trips out when he sees one person.
It's what we call very specific vision. Don't question it.
I'm gonna question it anyway. Why?
Because we got the inspiration juice flowing through our veins.
Okay, dream on. Go ahead.
Dream on, Dwibsarella.
I wish I was dreaming, and I could at least wake up and forget about it the next day.
Don't worry, your memory is so bad you'll forget about it next day anyway.
Until our commentary comes up.
I'm pretty sure like half the people who saw this forgot about it the next day.
You'd be surprised, Ribs.
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people out there who grew up with this on VHS, and they still have a lot of nostalgic attachment to it.
Yeah.
We're sorry we spoiled it. We're sorry we spoiled those memories for you.
Oh, no.
Nostalgia can be a very powerful drug.
If people are nostalgic for it because they legit liked it as kids, people are nostalgic for it because of how bad these movies are. So I'm pretty sure.
Java, I saw comments in one of the videos on YouTube of someone saying that they love this one and it's better than the Disney version.
Well, that's because that was the first version they ever saw, and well, yeah, you could get easily influenced. I'm talking about the people who are nostalgic for it for how bad it is, though.
Anyway, yeah. That's anything else, Wibs?
No, I'm done.
Close us out, Jova.
Well, folks, what can I say about this film that won't be said about a lot of other Good Times films? Because don't worry, Shuri and Dwibs, there's, like I said, more where that came from, and some done
I know.
and some done with other collaborations. Fun fact.
Are you feeling all right, Shuri?
I'm tired, and
Wow.
this hasn't helped.
Believe it or not, when Golden Times got filed for bankruptcy, they ended up folding into GT Media. Guess what GT Media did? They distribute Asylum mockbusters. That's right, they're in the same old business of helping distribute ripoffs.
Yay.
And some
Anyway,
Good Times
go ahead,
releases. This movie is... It's a treasure for how bad it is. Like,
Yeah.
the amount of people who do not care. Like, seriously. Everyone gets a good ending in this one. You know, because screw having morals or whatsoever. The music is some of the most baffling bad you'll ever hear. The singing. Okay. Care Bears. All three Care Bears movies have better singing than this. I went there.
Sonic
Wow.
Underground had better singing.
You're on record saying that, Shirai.
I know.
It's-
You can hear how painful that was for
Hey! The lyrics in that shot at least had somewhat of a structure.
Yeah, and I actually...
I know, they were still stupid.
And I'll give Jilo White this. He can actually sing. He can actually do a better female voice than whoever was singing in this movie.
I'll agree to disagree. Anyway, go
Said,
ahead.
yeah, again, the plot here... okay, you'd think adapting a simple plot like Cinderella would be easy. No, apparently it's incredibly hard according to this movie. Like, the fairy godmother is there all around, so you have to wonder why she doesn't just do stuff more. I mean, there's like maybe a few good lines here or there. Again, the characters, there is technically more character, and they actually do lampshade some things. They actually add more depth and layer to them. Problem is, those are minuscule. Like, sure, it's nice that these characters get better character. The problem is that Cinderella and the stepmother, quite possibly the two biggest figures, are so bland and boring. Well, that's when they're not doing anything, and when Cinderella... You know what's funny? For as bad as the stepmother is, Cinderella's the one who actually laughs at people's pain. The sisters just laugh at her when she has to do stuff, not when she's physically in pain. She laughs at them when they're in pain.
True.
Dang. Yeah, okay, folks. Yeah, if you're gonna watch this, do it ironically. Like, I mean, okay, for those of you who saw this film back in the day, and maybe this is the version you grew up with, more power to you.
I feel really sorry
a lot
for you.
of power to you.
This is the animated equivalent of growing up playing one of those one of those Chinese bootleg consoles instead of growing up with a Mega Drive.
Yeah, it's like if you grew up playing only Bubsy, thinking that's the standard of 3D gaming, and then later you play Crash or Spyro, and you wonder, how have I been wasting my life like this?
Yeah.
So yeah,
right,
folks,
so-
this was the first of our Good Times commentaries. There's a lot more to come.
Well, not so much lot.
Well,
depends
remember,
on what it
Pedro, they had a lot of collaborations with even Columbia Pictures, NBC, World Vision Enterprises,
Yeah,
Golden
sure. We're
Times.
trying this out.
Yeah.
All right, tune in next time, everybody, for their Pocahontas adaptation. The Disney movie
Yeah.
already sucked. So how bad could this one be?
We'll see you then.
Oh, by the way, it's also known as The Adventures of Pocahontas, Indian Princess. I will give it credit; it's more faithful to history than the Disney film, but that's a little sneak peek for you. I can tell you it's more faithful. Pocahontas is actually the correct age in that version, at least. So, see you then.
See ya.
All right, see ya.
Yeah.